Hey, gun people. This is a pretty good video on. This video is used for education purposes. Hopefully, avoid a commie tube strike. But I digress. So these guys are stopping this person. The cops, they do what cops do. I mean, I've done this. Other cops do it. We're taught to do it. It's within the law to do it, and that's the key. Not necessarily that I agree with it, but it's within the law and they're not breaking the law. People want to blame cops for following the law and make the cops a bad guy, yet they reelect the same legislators in Congress and piece of shit politicians over and over again. And then they blame the cops for enforcing the laws that the people they elect or they don't kick out of office or they don't put term limits on that write these laws. But let's watch this and I'll give you my critique on how the cops are doing.
Where moments ago, deputies questioned a man driving without a license plate.
Kind of panicked.
Hey, buddy, what's your name?
Deputy Johnson with the sheriff's office.
You been arrested for anything?
No?
You turn it right around. Can I ask you what your mask is for?
Yeah, yes, I'm allergic to the sun.
Okay, this is called, they stopped him for no license plate, and now we're expanding. And if you remember, there was a case to where a judge suppressed, wrongly, I might add, but I didn't really want to fight it, and the DA said if I didn't want to fight it, he wasn't going to fight it. But anyway, where there was a stereo with the wires cut in the back seat, and when I stopped the dude, I said, dude, where'd you get that stereo? It looks like it was just stolen, the wires are cut. And he's like, blah, blah, and I ended up finding some dope and some scales, and he was selling dope, and I got a whole bunch of other things, and they said, you know what? You shouldn't ask about the stereo in the back seat. The judge was wrong. I absolutely can ask for something in plain sight, but I didn't give a shit, and the DA said, if you don't care, I don't care, so it went away. Here's what these guys are doing. They stopped him for no license plates, and now they're getting into, where are you going? Where are you coming from? What are you selling? What? This is a little more prolonged than the courts like to see. The courts have kind of ruled that if you stop you for something, you deal with the violation, and you can do some cursory expansion on your questioning, but you can't turn it into a full-on detention. Now, this is a little bit different because the guy doesn't have a driver's license. So when somebody doesn't have ID, that always puts the hairs up on a cop because most people lie when they say they don't have ID. They've hidden their ID because they know they have a warrant. They don't want to give their name because they know they're, have to go back to prison because they're a parolee at large. So anytime somebody starts getting hinky or nervous and they don't have an ID, cops tend to get a little more kind of questionative and, hey, let's see how much this guy is being. And that's what these guys are doing. Remember, I tell people don't talk to the cops. When you talk to the cops, nothing good comes out of it. If you don't have ID and they stop you for a lawful purpose, normally they're going to hook you up until they ID you. So crooks know this, so they'll delay until the hooking up part. I always tell people the most dangerous times for cops is when you're putting handcuffs on somebody, because that's when the guy knows this is my last chance to get away, and that's when he's going to act, and that's when he's going to pull a gun, pull your gun, hit you, stab you in the eye, take ice, whatever. That's their last chance, and that's the most dangerous time. So they asked what the mask is for on a seat. He says because it's for the sun. That sounds a little hinky, but whatever. I mean, guy don't have ID and he doesn't have a license plate, and now he's got a mask in the car, and now he starts sweating profusely, and it's only 80 degrees in Texas. So, and he's wearing shorts. These guys are wearing vests, and they point that out. We're not sweating as bad as you. Big sweats can be nervousness or it can be stimulants. When somebody's on crank, cocaine, anything that stimulates, it makes the heart go quicker. When the heart goes quicker, the body heats up. You sweat more. You have better strength. It's like an adrenaline pump. And that's what I think this guy is. I've looked. If somebody can find out what happened to this dude, I don't know if the guy died or not. They beat him pretty bad, and he was bleeding pretty bad, and he wasn't moving. But I don't know if he died or what they found or whether he was arrested. They don't go into that.
So you wear that over your mouth or over your eyes?
Over my mouth.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess that's about it.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Over in your mouth?
Yeah, I get real fast. That's why it gives me like fever.
So see, this is a ploy that cops use. You want to develop a relationship and make the guy drop his guard. I don't suspect you of anything, Mr. Kind Citizen. I don't think you've done anything wrong. I'm your friend. I'm just kind of wondering why you would have a mask And I want you to explain to me on why that mask protects you and how it protects you. Because I'm from the government. I'm here to help. I really care about you.
What's that called? What's the medical term for it?
I call them sunspots. I just get sunspots.
You've been like that your whole life, or you
Yes,
just got diagnosed with it?
No, I've always, it's just from freckles and everything.
Where are you headed to?
I'm going back to my house.
Where's that?
It's on East Anderson.
Okay. Where are you just coming from?
I was coming from a friend's apartment to see if he wanted to come with me to drop some stuff off. He did not want to go.
Since I'm looking at this guy, a lot of people always ask me, how do you arrange stuff on a belt? I didn't like anything in the back, but I did keep 2 pairs of handcuffs. But I use the very light handcuffs. They weigh like a few ounces. They're expensive. They're like $50 each, but they're very, very light. They're made, I don't know if titanium or whatever, but really light handcuffs. And I had one on each side here on my back. That was the only thing on my back. Most cops wear their gear on the sides, and they don't want anything long in the front because when you sit down, long things stab you. So most long things are on the side. Smaller things, this guy probably has his cuffs on the front of his belt, but I digress. I know a lot of people ask me how you arrange your belt.
Where y'all dropping off?
We were going to go pick up some lumber for like...
These are called keepers for non-cops. You slide this under your regular belt and around your duty belt, and that way your duty belt doesn't come up and over and slide and spin around. It becomes one with your waist, your belt loops, and your other belt. So all cops have keepers. I usually had like 6. I'd have 2 in the back, then usually 1 in between on each side, then maybe 1 or 2 in the front.
$50, he didn't want to work. That means basically work.
And you don't have your driver's license on you?
No, sir.
I mean, what that does us, it keeps you out here longer. It keeps you out here longer.
Yes, sir.
And we got to verify who you are.
Yes, sir. I was going back and forth. Yes, sir.
So the guy doesn't have a license plate and he doesn't have his driver's license, but he's saying yes, sir. Could he be saying yes, sir, just to appear cooperative and to get the officers to drop their guard like he's a good, kind citizen up to really good things and not up to no good things? Could that be? Well, not in liberal la-la land because freaking whatever. I digress.
And state law requires you to have it when we ask for it. Yes, sir. You smell beer in here? I smell alcohol. you hadn't been drinking at all, have you? No?
I haven't been drinking, no, sir. There's no...
Have you spilled alcohol in here in the past or something?
Yeah, I've been trying to clean the floor because...
That's kind of a setup question. Who hasn't had alcohol in their car in the past? I mean, I keep a little bottle of Jack in my car all the time in case I get somewhere and I want a little Jack and Coke. But now all the Texas cop will be like, hey man, if you pull him over, he'll have an open container. Whatever. Freaking. Anyway, that's a setup question. Have you ever had alcohol in the car before? Yes. Oh, maybe that's what I'm smelling. You know what? Just to be safe, why don't I have you come out of the car? Because I think the alcohol I can't tell if it's coming off you or from the car, but if I get you out, then I can tell. That's reasonable, right? Appears reasonable.
It got wet. It got wet from the rain.
Are you okay, man? Like you're bad.
It's like 100 degrees.
You're dripping sweat. Well, I'm wearing a vest.
I understand, yes, sir.
Okay, another clue to this is there's 3 cops there already, and they're parked in kind of what I call a tactical stop instead of a regular traffic stop. A normal traffic stop, you pull in behind a guy. If you're tactical, you kind of set your car up in an angle, you block traffic, you give your way more way. Maybe they're doing that because they have the news crew with them. I don't know, because they got LivePD with them. But when I see this many cops there, I think they know something else is going on. Right now, they could be stalling for more cops to get closer, or they could just be making their probable cause stronger on why they're doing what they're doing. Right now, they've got plenty of reasons to get this guy out of the car. He's got no license plate and he's got no ID. Any reasonable cop is going to think maybe the car is stolen, maybe he stole it, maybe he doesn't have ID, maybe he has a warrant, maybe he's wanted, maybe he's on parole, maybe he's lying to us. Because most people don't drive around with no license plates and no ID. But Rick, he could have forgot it and he just came from the school and he was donating time. Yeah, well, that's because you're an idiot. All right, so here we go.
I'm very warm.
So yeah, I mean, I'm talking the sweat is just pouring off you right now, brother.
Yes, sir. I'm just very, it's hot. I'm getting pulled over. I don't know what I did. Like I've had multiple times. I've talked to law enforcement and I've never heard that I couldn't have a license plate on the front. I mean, that's crazy.
What's your last name? Okay. All right.
Oh, maybe there's just no plate in the front. that's kind of a cheesy stop. I've only been stopped for that about 15 times. Freaking highway patrol in Texas got my damn car marked. Rick, why don't you just, because it keeps falling off and I'm out here on a damn farm and I'm always pushing and moving things with my truck and it gets tore up and it bounces off. I shouldn't need 2 damn plates. Why ain't 1 plate enough? You freaking idiots in the clown costumes can't figure out how to run 1 plate. You got to have 2 plates?
Hey, I'm just smelling alcohol. You want to pull him out, just check his eyes real quick, just to be sure. All right, man, here's what I'm asking you. Because you're smelling alcohol.
So we're smelling alcohol within the vehicle, and I'm not sure if it's coming from this person or if it's just from the vehicle. Maybe he might have spilled something. But he's just pouring sweat right now.
Anytime you stop a car and a driver has no ID, you can pull him out of the car. I mean, that's just the way it is. You get him out of the car. And you see a mask in there and he gives you some BS excuse about the mask, you could think, maybe this guy's out doing crime. He's got a mask. How many people drive around with a mask with no ID? But they said no plate, and this guy said front plate. So if it's just a front plate, they should have ran a back plate, and they would know who the car is registered to. And then they would know if he's giving them the name, the same as the registration. So a good defense attorney may be able to tear down their probable cause a little bit here, depending on the fact that he doesn't have ID. Kind of, hey, we've got to ID this guy, so I want to get him out of the car. And, you know, why do you need to take him out to ID him, Rick? Well, because when he gives me an ID and I run his driver's license, it's going to tell me the height and weight, and I want to see if it matches. And I can't tell how tall he is by sitting in the car. So if I get him out of the car, I can do a lot of things. One, I get him away from the car that I don't know if it's his, if it's stolen, if he's really the RO, if he just stole it, or if there's weapons in there since he has a mask. So I get him out of the car, and now when I get him out of the car, I can tell his height. I get him at a disadvantage because he's not in his home ground of the car to where he can reach for things, and it's safer for all the officers. Getting him out of the car is very, very easy to justify and articulate. Gets out of the car and puts his hand on. Rick, this is a very cooperative guy, and there's no reason to... Oh, uh-oh. Guy's bald. Oh, shit, here we go. You guys know what happens. Bald cops and bald people. Sometimes they can be a little high on the testosterone. Ooh, it's a rabbit. Here we go. The fight's on. Okay, now these cops, some people are going to be offended, by the way. When they start punching and kneeing and kicking him, he's a strong guy. And I want you to look at how hard these cops are fighting. And these cops don't look like they're out of shape slugs. They look like they're in pretty good shape. And this guy gives these cops a workout. Now, for all you PC quota hire supporters, how many people think if there was 3 females that this guy wouldn't have killed all 3 of them? This guy gave these cops a run for their money, and they upped the force each time while they're fighting. From punches, well, I'm sorry, they're not punches. From distraction blows to get him to stop his resistive tension, to kneeing him to stop his resistive actions, to putting a chokehold, to putting a carotid restraint on him in order to gain compliance. So they pull out the works on this dude. Not to mention they taser him I don't know how many damn times. And I want you to notice how every time they taser him, it only increases his fight and strength. Tasers are freaking, I just don't like them. I never liked them. I never see them affect them. They do absolutely nothing when you dry tase except hurt like hell, and it makes the guy fight harder. So, here we go. Distraction blows.
Got one fighting. Taser.
Distraction blows. Knee to the head. Knee to the back of the head.
Lay over.
Punching.
Lay over. Lay down. Hit him again.
Man, they're just doing this because this guy identified as a black man earlier.
You got my hand. You better not reach for nothing.
And they're beating him like Rodney King.
Stop.
Legs in front of him, bending him over.
On your face now. On your face now.
Okay, so are they causing him to resist? Or is he resisting? How many people think he's complying? Look, I'm telling you, if you lay down flat and put your hands behind your back, cops have nothing to fight about. If your hands are behind the back, the only thing they can really do is walk up and put the handcuffs on you. There's no kneeing, there's no punching, and there's no tasers. Now, I'm not going to go whether these guys are, you notice they're carrying the tasers on the opposite side, and the tasers are bright yellow. Those are all good things. But there's 3 cops trying to get this guy to get a handcuffs on him because they know he's strong, and he is fighting them. Although it looks like the cops are just beating him. If he was a black man, they would just say, oh, they beat this guy because he was black. But it looks like cops are just beating him. But this guy at no point ever says, I'm going to go down and I'm going to put my hands behind his back. They are fighting to get this guy behind his back because they want cuffs on him. And every time they dry tase him, the fight just gets more intense, which is one more reason why I just think tasers and pepper spray is a freaking pain in the butt. It doesn't do nothing but mess things up. So he got up with 3 cops on him and tasing him. Wow, it's good thing he got tasered. That's good. That was a pretty good knee to get him back down.
Don't reach for nothing.
Notice this cop right here grabs a body part and hangs on for dear life. If all cops did this, this would really help things. If every cop grabs an arm and every cop grabs a leg and every cop grabs a neck and you get one body part, you really take away a person's ability to fight. These are 3 cops. One of them's bald. And they're pretty decent shape. None of them are slugs. And this guy's giving them a run for their money. And that's why it may look like they're just beating him for no reason and they're being too aggressive. But these cops are all in a fight for their life. They don't know. This guy hasn't been searched. They don't know if he has a weapon. As strong as he is, they don't know if he's going to be able to grab one of their weapons. They are rolling around. Things are falling off their belt. They're getting cut and scraped up. They're bleeding. He's bleeding. I know it looks bad to all the pink panty pacifists out there that think the pussification of America, that everything should be handled with hugs. But this guy is fighting the entire time.
All right, let's try and roll towards Camden. I got his left hook. Roll over. Stop fighting. Roll over.
Now the guy says he can't breathe probably 10 to 15 times. This is a ploy by a lot of crooks and criminals to get cops to release and to try to get in touch with the cop's softer sides. Oh, I don't want to hurt you. I just want to take you in custody. If you can't breathe, let me stop what I'm doing. Maybe you're ready to comply. And then you get punched in the face. And that usually only happens once or twice, and then you stop listening to people hollering, I can't breathe. So the guy is breathing because he's saying, I can't breathe. But, I mean, they wear his butt out, and there's an awful lot of blood when they're finished. Okay, so this 3 cops rolling him over is a lot of torque. This cop with a choke hold could easily snap his neck and probably hurt his trachea. This is not a good carotid strain, and I'll show you in a minute, because the guy's arm is over the trachea and not cradling. The trachea should be in the bend of the arm. This arm should be on one side of the neck, and the forearm should be on the other side of the neck, and the trachea should be in the middle so it doesn't get crushed. The crushing action comes from here and here. That is not what this cop had. He calls it a carotid restraint. That's not what he had. Now, let me switch to the cop side. The cop is going to say, I would have had it in the proper way had not for the resistive fighting actions of the suspect, which prevented me and moved me to where the chokehold or the carotid restraint was not applied effectively because of his resistive actions and his fighting behavior. That's going to be his excuse, his report, his justification. Remember, Ty always goes to government, Ty goes to the cops. If you fight with them, you better be 100% right, and you better have a lot of ducks, because you're going to be found wrong 90% of the time, if not 95.
He's right on. It's still underneath. Let's get the rep. Got him? Still got him. Stop fighting.
If the guy passes out, they would have been able to get his hands behind his back. They still can't get his hands behind his back. What do these cops do? You freaking pansy pussy cops always pulling out your damn taser. Just handle the dude. Get a good wrist lock. Get a good bar. Put him in a figure 4 on his legs and lock his legs down so he can't roll over. No, you want to do a dog pile monkey freaking bump and pull out your damn taser and freaking start tasing him. It doesn't help.
You're gonna get tased. It takes twice. Give me your hand. No.
Notice his arm is not going behind his back. I'm telling you, man, you crooks, I'm trying to help you out. If you put your hands behind your back, cops don't have any reason to beat you, and if they do, you're going to win. You never see a guy lose a case when his hands are behind his back and the cops are beating him. Because normally when the hands are behind the back, cops stop beating.
Stop fighting!
There's 4 cops on this dude, and they're still wrestling.
He's right.
Now, I would be concerned that they're going to kill this dude. There's 4 cops, they're holding him down, he's got a chokehold. Some people will be like, that's okay because he's fighting. Because he's fighting them. I don't think you ought to kill a dude for running. He doesn't have a weapon. I don't think deadly force is authorized. Now, what's the definition of deadly force? That force which is likely to cause seriously bodily injury and or death. Who thinks 4 cops tasing, bending, twisting, and cranking your neck would fall into deadly force? That force which is likely to cause seriously bodily injury and or death. Who thinks this is deadly force? I'm moving to where these cops are using deadly force right now, and I don't think deadly force is authorized for resistance.
Come on.
5 cops. Knee on the back.
We need that right hand.
Yeah.
Give me your hand.
Reason why you keep hearing cops coming is none of these cops have gone code 4. I don't think they use code 4 in Texas. But none of these cops that says we got him in custody. So all cops still responding think, holy shit, man, they're still fighting. We don't know if cops are dying. We don't know if cops are getting shot. We don't know what the hell's happening out there. Nobody's had time to update on the radio. That's why cops are still rolling and showing up.
Hold on, I can't get it on. All right, hold on. I got him. Just all right.
Immediately after he's handcuffed, that dude needs to release that damn chokehold. I think the guy who held the chokehold held it too long.
Bring it down.
You got 4 cops on him. You got handcuffs on him. Come on, dude.
He's not going to He's not starting this.
He's still holding a freaking chokehold. Really? If this dude dies, this right here is the cause. And a carotid restraint was normally only authorized, it was considered deadly force if it's held too long, done inappropriately, or you can't release it and do it the appropriate way. So I think they used deadly force on this guy. Do I think deadly force was authorized? No, I do not. The guy was fighting. Deadly force is not authorized for a fight. If you shoot somebody who punches you, you're going to be charged with using excessive force because deadly force is not authorized just because you get punched.
Ready? I got him. Good. Let him up.
That's a lot of blood for a guy on his belly with 5 cops on him. His legs are limp. Again, I tried to find out whether this guy lived, what he was wanted for, whether he had a marijuana joint in his pocket, or was he a fleeing felon from rape or murder. I don't know. If anybody finds it, check the description. As soon as somebody posts it in the comments, if they find it, I will put it in the description block. See this stiff arm? This guy's not moving.
Everybody okay? Is everybody okay? Shut this area down.
This guy's bleeding out extreme. He's not moving. And these cops are asking, is everybody okay? Now look, as a cop, I get it. Most cops look out for cops first. Screw him. He's the dirtbag. He was fighting. He gets what he deserves. If this was a black guy, there would be riots in the streets, places being burnt, and it would be a racial issue. This is not a racial issue to me. This is a government not being held accountable issue. This is a tyrannical government out of control that knows we're going to be covered. We can get away with pretty much anything we do. Therefore, we don't need to worry about a pesky citizen bleeding out and dying. I don't know if the guy died.
On his arms, not his chest. So, ends up that this guy was sweating really, really bad because he was either wanted, for some strange reason he didn't want us to take custody of this guy. He immediately started fighting I'm going to suspect that he's probably high on some sort of narcotic.
So far we have no front license plate, a Texas felony in this freaking state, no ID, and he tried to run. And maybe he's high. And this guy looks like he's dying.
Extremely strong. I was able to get a carotid restraint around his neck and was able to hold him, put him out for a second.
Also, when you're taught the carotid, you never hold it for any length of time. I can't remember now. I'd have to look at my notes. But I thought never hold it for 30 seconds to a minute. If you're holding it that long, you have to go to something else. Because you can kill a guy. And they may have killed this guy.
Second. So these guys were able to take him under control. He's still pretty combative, as you can see.
He's still pretty combative? He hasn't moved in 5 freaking minutes. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cops around him, and nobody's checking his airway or giving him aid.
I want to make sure that all our officers are safe at this point.
They're searching his pockets. He's handcuffed and non-responsive, bleeding out, and the cops are searching their pocket. Are you kidding me?
As soon as he went for that pocket, he started fighting. There's a pill bottle, I don't know what's in it yet. He's got to be high on something.
Another reason all these cops are coming, the cops know LivePD's in the area. My chance to get on live TV.
Yeah, I'm all cut up, man, but we're good. My glasses over here.
So these cops that are hurt, he's going to be charged with resisting causing injury to officer. Because these guys are going to need medical attention. More taxpayer money. Maybe we can call out all the 1,400 fire trucks that are in the area when there ain't been a fire in freaking 10 years.
I got his blood on me. Just some scratches from the... Just some scratches from the... Stop. At this point, our biggest concern is making sure that he is not high on narcotics. He could go into an exciting...
This guy is still breathing hard, and he's still out of breath. So I'm not saying they weren't fighting hard. I just don't know if it's worth killing a guy using deadly force.
Delirium. He could possibly die from it. High on narcotics. He could go into an excited delirium.
So the cop says he could have went into excited delirium. I might have said he might have went into that when they were fighting. Excited delirium is just... It's a reaction to long-term drug use, I think. Kind of cocaine, meth, any stimulant. If you overstimulate the brain, sometimes it produces, I don't remember, dopamine or whatever your body counteracts. When you take a stimulus, your body produces depressants. When you take a depressant, your body produces stimulus in order to regulate the body. And when you do that long-term and sometimes stimulants will create something that just messes the brain up and you end up becoming just really violent and crazy. I think that may have been what caused this, but this fighting wouldn't cause that if I have it right.
Our officers are safe as well. Pretty good fight. Like I said, I was lucky that I was able to get him in a carotid restraint to be able to hold him while these other guys were able to take him into custody.
Hi, everyone. I'm Danny.
Okay, well, that's my take. There's going to be cops coming here hating on me because they're going to say these cops did a great job and it was all the guy's fault. And they're not going to hear anything else I said because I talk bad about the cops. And there'll be cop haters here that because I defended what the cops were doing a little bit, saying I'm just a cop lover and a bootlicker and just because they hate cops and they didn't hear anything else. So take it for what it's worth. Argue down in the comments. We'll end that there.